everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Tales of Arise. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing more skits.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up programs for Lenegus, what about now?
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Renaissance stolen, Lenegus is functioning fine. If it needed us before, it doesn't appear to now.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing? Who the hell do they think they are?
You should be happy at this point that your death wasn't a part of the boot-up program.
Their list of concerns.
I just hope everyone on Lenegus is safe.
Fingers crossed.
Worst comes to worst, Lenegus is equipped with a large number of starships that people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something, they should be fine.
Wait, explode?
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenegus. The people there will be fine. I'm sure of it.
Right.
Okie dokie. Let's fucking do it. To the Helvrecht 35, which is a crappy name. Can we real talk? Can we talk about how crappy your name is?
Do you have your answer for me?
It's like...
We want to ask something first. You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you expect us to do that? You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience, and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renus Alma.
Okay.
You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit within her body, and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renus Alma to destroy it.
Nope.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Shion described before.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
Nope.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit, and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really
They left
will
out a
kill
word
me.
there.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit.
Most
It is
simple, but
therefore
not
our
the
most reliable
only option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die. That we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her.
I.e.,
We
tell me a
didn't
different
fight this whole
option,
time just to give up on her
or
at the very
fuck you.
end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational.
don't give a shit.
It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegus in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
That it's been
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis
passed
correct.
on.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit. to revive
How
itself.
did that get passed on
So
from
long
like
as it
mother to
remains,
daughter?
It will be all but
Or
impossible
is
to
Shion
fully
just
eradicate
actually
the
Naori
great
and
spirit.
doesn't realize it?
That is why
Like-
it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile and will only serve to strengthen it.
How would it strengthen it?
Oh.
What? The fuck does that even mean? This is a very but thou must situation game.
Naori said that the Renis Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renis Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine control on the level of the spirit channeling ceremony. Considering that the Renis Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed, I cannot allow it. Its uncertainty is simply too great.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather
What?
stay here and rot than do
No,
it
no, no. This guy is legitimately. This guy is.
Whatever we do, if we
I
mess
want
up,
you to
Dan is
kill the
screwed.
Great Spirit,
The
but
Great
only
Spirit
in
will
this
destroy
specific
it.
way. Because if you don't do
If
it,
you're
I
fine
won't
letting
be
that
happy.
happen, and we have nothing to gain either way,
What?
then I'd rather do nothing.
Yeah, like go fuck yourself
We
then,
want to
asshole.
stop Dana from getting
Like
destroyed.
screw.
We want to save it. But not if it means having to sacrifice one of us in the process. If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alphen.
It seems so. There are multiple
What you
issues.
say
Yeah,
is
I get what you're saying, Jay, but there are
Be that as
multiple
it may,
concerns that I have
shall
about that
accede
concept.
to your demand.
Of course you will, because that's the
You'll
point of
agree?
this game.
I
Absolutely.
am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renis Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegis.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower then.
That giant flower is not the
I have
middle
one
of
more
Rena.
question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Havrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar is all.
Let's do it.
Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But first,
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to
yeah, he
me.
don't give a
The
shit.
end result shall be the same.
Like, right?
Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Man, is it too much to ask for Hevrick 35 to talk like a normal person? I
It is.
swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated stuff.
So here's
I think we're mostly done with him. Now all we have to do is rest up and wait.
my issue with your
Once the Fall Knights is
concept.
good to
Although
go
I
again,
do assume
we'll be
that
taking
that's
off
how
for
it
Rena
works,
right
right? So thorns are passed down from mother to child. Once the new child is born, the mother can now die because she no longer holds the curse, you know, etc. That makes perfect sense. Accepting that none of any of this makes sense, right? And here are the two glaring things that I have for that situation. The first right, is what is the Great Spirit's curse, the thorns, right? Like, what is that, in that it can be passed genetically from one person to another, right? Like, what the fuck? How is that? Why would it need to pass genetically if the person that it is on is immortal, right? So it's a unnecessary fantasy magic, right? Exactly. There's no worthy good explanation for it. It's just, I don't know, fantasy magic, right? Okay, so that's one issue. And then the secondary issue is if we're going with this passing from mother to child thing, right? Or mother to daughter, right? As the maidens, then how exactly did the conception happen if the mother has the Thorns curse the entire time? So unless the Renans or Helgenquins are doing, like, artificial insemination, right? I think Alphen in the before times probably would have tried, except, oh, Alphen doesn't feel things, so it wouldn't have mattered, right? It's just, it's again, it falls into that situation of, it doesn't sound plausible. It's just someone went, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if we had this character that had this curse to where she couldn't touch people? Yeah, okay, cool. Fine, I guess. Right? It's all of these movies, and this is the problem. I'm going to talk about this at length when we finally finish the game. But the problem that I have with the story as it's unfolded, right, is that there's all these moving parts and pieces, and none of them actually fit together. They just want them to fit together. Because someone came up with, like, a bullet point concept of what they wanted this story to be, but they did not write it out as cohesive portions. They just made these clear establishments of, this thing is a thing. Now figure out how it works. And that'll screw your story up big time.
There has to be another way, right?
Anyways,
Shion's
we continue.
Fire Master Core was able to suppress astral energy.
Where
to
did
prevent it
Shion
from
get the
gaining
Fire
sentience,
Master Core?
Right?
Why did she
Couldn't
have
we
it?
make use of that somehow?
Why was
I'm
Shion
not sure.
on
In small
Dana
doses, maybe,
at all?
but with the amount of
as
energy we're
the
talking
maiden?
about here.
Back in Calaglia, the Blazing Sword was able to take in a whole spirit vessel's worth of energy. If it has the capacity to manage that, it can do this, right?
Except after it absorbed the energy, it ended up releasing it all moments later, remember? Let's not forget, it nearly killed you.
That's true.
Besides, this is the Great Spirit we're talking about, not a paltry vessel. Even if I could use the Master Core, your body wouldn't be able to take the strain of channeling that much energy.
Hevrect 35 didn't mention it, and it did not seem the type to skimp on details. So assuming it's even possible, the chances are slim to none.
You're probably right.
What's up? Sure. Whatever. We rest. We rest! Judgy boy. Oh. Sure.
You still thinking about what the scientists told us? About
Ooh,
where
stinky
Renans really
breath.
come from?
You got some stinky
I
breath?
am.
Mwah.
But not for myself.
You're worried about the future of the Renan people.
The fact that our people have been the same this whole time will only give the Danans further reason to resent us.
That's why.
You still intend
It's
to confront this
no.
truth head on,
It's way
don't you?
easier to resent the foreign, the
Well,
alien,
I
than
did
it is
declare
to
that I would
resent
live my life for the living
your
and
own.
not the dead. Even as I dream of retirement, I shall remain dedicated to the cause.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Now that I think about it, I don't believe I've ever heard you criticize or reproach us Renans even once.
I'm no saint. I have skeletons in my closet too. There was definitely a time when I hated Renans for who they were. I hated them just for being Renan. But you changed that, Dohalim. You gave me an opportunity to see them in a different light. Thanks to your reforms, we were able to stand next to Renans not as slaves, but as equals for the first time.
You
in
didn't
our
do it
lives.
as equals, but
Of course, I'm sure there
it
were
was a
some
step in the
Renans
right
who still
direction.
hated us on the inside. But we knew that not all of you were like that. There were those of you who were good, and that was a start. When it comes down to it, Renans are just people. They can be good or bad, just like Danans.
That is, in essence, the heart of your approach, isn't it? That we're all people.
Yeah, it is. When you can pull someone aside and talk to them one-on-one, then you have the chance to come to an understanding. But as soon as you stereotype, that chance goes away, and you stop thinking of them as people that you can relate to.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but we're talking about massive numbers of Renans and Danans alike. Realistically speaking, surely they won't all be able to get along.
Even if we end up butting heads with one person, maybe we'll find better luck among their friends.
Oh,
If we can
I'm
build
sorry,
a
Mama.
society that works like that, that'll be something worth nurturing and protecting.
The anxiety.
So you wish for people to form real bonds and do away with the hierarchy outright. To deal with one another as humans, and nothing more. That's the ideal future you hope to see when this is all over?
Yes, I do. I think it would make for a fine tribute to my brother's legacy. Though, that said, I would be doing it for the people of the future first and foremost. Do you still plan to return to Lenegis when this is over?
Indeed I do.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'll be able to reside in Lenegis proper, however. My first order of business may be to find somewhere to live.
You'll always have a home in Menancia, you know.
As I shall ever keep in mind.
Well, if you ever need a
Yeah.
helping hand, don't hesitate to come get me. I'll always be there for you, Doe.
Did you just... Never mind. Thank you, Kisara. I appreciate your patience as I work all this out.
Don't even mention it. And really, when you think about it, now that we know the two of us aren't so different after all, don't you think that brings down a barrier that used to be between us?
You know, I hadn't actually thought of it that way
Kisara
before.
really pushing.
But I do like the sound of it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Buddy boy. Me that leg. Me that leg. She's just overt. She's overt without being overt.
Hey, why'd you call me here? Was there something you wanted to talk about?
Well,
Yeah, he like you.
if everything we've heard about the Great Spirit is true, then we're getting close to our final battle. So I wanted to apologize while I can.
Apologize?
He's
For
so
what?
mad.
I was being real stupid before. About whether Dana's will had been controlling us and all that. I get why you're angry now. Anybody would be if something they trusted was being questioned. So, I'm sorry, Rinwell. Really. I should have kept my mouth shut.
No, Law. Honestly, I think you might have been onto something. Of course you were worried. Who wouldn't be if they found out there might be some invisible force pulling
Right?
the
It's
strings the whole time?
absolutely a natural thing to be like, uh-oh. Is that a thing? This could be a problem.
You really trust Dana's will, don't you? Is it because you can sense it a lot more than the rest of us? Because you can understand it?
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. But I think I also want to believe it's good.
Believe?
Remember how I used to really resent coming from a family of mages?
Yeah, of course. Because you were always on the run and had to live in hiding.
When we rescued Zephyr and I finally decided to come along with you all, something changed inside me. It was the
When
first
you-
time
I guess
felt
that's
like my
fair.
powers had any meaning. Even if that meaning was only helping you guys fight.
Naughty boy.
Then, when I felt Dana's will, I was overwhelmed by how vast and warm it was. It made me want to believe my powers
I
were
want
made
to
to
like
connect
take
with
just
it.
the hottest
It made me
shower
believe
like
I had
right
a bigger
now.
purpose.
I keep getting these chills.
So that's why you hope it doesn't turn out to be bad.
And I just want to like,
You
I just
almost
want to be
need it to be
warm.
kind.
I'm turning into an old man.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I just want to be warm.
Well, all right. Then I
And
promise
me
I'll lay
old
off
bones
bad-mouthing
are
it.
cold.
You will?
There's no way for
Space
me to
heater
know
under
for
the
sure
desk.
one way or the other,
I don't
right?
like.
But you
That's the
trust
thing.
it pretty well,
I'm not a
and
big
that's enough for
fan
me.
of. This is gonna
So I'll
sound
trust it
so
because you
weird.
do.
Remember what I said
Heat.
about neither planet's great spirit reaching us here?
Yeah?
That's not quite true. I can feel just a little bit of Rena's inside you and everyone else.
You... what?
Brenna's?
I sensed it when we first got here. It's a really small amount, so it doesn't feel like it has a will of its own. But I think that's how Dana's energy probably is too.
Oh.
So you're saying there's a little bit of Dana's will inside each of us?
Did they
In a
reverse
way,
that?
Doesn't that mean we're all Dana's will?
What?
Well, like you said, unless Dana's energy comes together, it has no will. So if we all have a little bit of Dana's astral energy inside us,
Yeah. Maybe.
Hefrick 35 might know the answer. But, you know what? I don't need to ask it. My will is my own. I fight for who I want to fight for. That's who I am now. Who I've become.
This is an interesting theme that could have
So
been
thanks,
explored
Renwell,
more,
for
right?
sharing that
Like
with me.
Renwell's internal doubt over being controlled by Dana, or Law's internal doubt over being controlled by Dana. If this was a thing that was established earlier on in the game,
To be honest,
like that could have been a
the
really
only reason I
interesting
was
concept
suspicious
of like, am
Dana's
I a
will-
puppet or do I have free will?
I mean, it mostly was... I feel like
But
you and
this
I
is
had
so
grown
late in the
apart
game that it's
lately,
kind of just like a
and I was worried
singular
it was
note.
because...
Huh?
Because I like you.
Never mind. Nothing. Just
Wow.
forget about it.
Huh?
Secondary.
No. What were you saying?
Secondary scenario.
Saying, I don't remember
Come
saying
on.
anything.
Now you won't tell me what you were
No,
thinking?
that's not what I'm saying.
Then spit it out already.
Except he's absolutely not overt. Okay, two things, right? The first thing is not everything has to be
sure you don't wanna get
romantic,
some rest?
right? Like you can have a 6-person or a 6-character game, and you don't have to have
I've got too much
two,
on my
two,
mind.
two. Like it doesn't have to
Especially
work
knowing
like
how
that. They
close
can
our
be
last battle is.
individuals that don't have. Anyways, so that's one
How are
thing.
you doing, Shion?
Secondary thing is
Same as you,
this,
still
actually
trying
I'm
to
gonna
absorb
save the
everything.
heat thing until after the cutscene because I want to watch these and not get super distracted. And the heat thing is a
Remember when it was
very
so simple?
weird random
We're only
thing.
fighting all the lords on Dana?
It was so
Well,
simple
that
back
feels like
then.
a lifetime ago,
It was
doesn't
so simple back then. It was so simple back then. I miss it.
Ages and ages ago. Everything that's happened since we first met. So many fights, so much chaos, so many wonderful people.
If I hadn't run into you that day, well, I wouldn't have met all of you. I never would have held the blazing sword or looked for something more. I wouldn't have my memories back. I'd still be a faceless slave, like as not long dead.
Hey, Alphen. I want you to promise me something.
Yeah?
That if it comes down
If
to
we
it.
can't find the Renis Alma,
Mhm.
there's something I
I
want you to
fucking
do.
knew she was gonna go there. I fucking knew it. I
like
knew
Hefrick
it.
35 said, The only way we can end the Great Spirit for good is to go after both the main body in Rena and the thorns in me. I need you to promise me, Alphen, that if for some reason we can't get the Renis Alma back, you'll use the Blazing Sword to destroy the Great Spirit, and me along with it.
Huh?
It's true the Blazing Sword may not have the strength of the Renis Alma, but it's taken us this far. It's slain lords and beasts. At the very least, it has to be worth a try.
You can't be serious. Have you forgotten everything that
Listen,
we...
the Great Spirit isn't just our problem. It's a threat to our
Keep in
entire
mind, she's
world.
not like, hey, let's do
Renans
this thing.
and
She's
Vanans
like,
alike.
if everything else fails, then promise me we'll do this thing.
We don't know what's going to happen when we face it, but we need to be prepared for
Absolutely.
anything. We can't second-guess ourselves when the time comes.
Yeah.
I promise you, I'm not planning on going anywhere. I'm prepared to fight with absolutely everything I've got. But if it comes down to it, I need you to be prepared too.
Yeah, don't bitch out on me, Alvin.
Okay. But you should know that I'm not going to give up on you, Shion. I'm going to fight this until the very end.
Yeah, no shit.
I hope you can forgive me for that.
I'm banking on it.
Alphen,
Like, I'm desperately hoping that will be the case. Like,
okay, I understand. And I'll forgive you.
a weird choice of words.
Thank you, Shion.
So it's a promise then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a promise.
Bodhi. You coming back? Clawing.
I remember how I felt
Fine.
the first time you touched me.
Hmm?
My thorns made any contact a mistake no one would ever make twice. After they'd seen what could happen, fear would always linger behind their eyes.
I do as
In
well,
my entire
actually, Jay.
life, I never had
Shion
someone
has
willingly
shown
reach out
pretty
to me.
good character growth. I like it.
But when you reached out to me and gently took my hand, you didn't react at all. It was so easy for you. I don't have words for the shock I felt in that moment.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
because I couldn't feel pain back then.
I legitimately like Shion's growth.
Even once you could,
I
though,
wish
you
other
still chose to keep
characters
reaching out to
displayed
me.
the same type
And
of
when
growth,
you did, I felt this
but I don't think they do.
warmth that I had never known before. But still, I hate having to see you suffer through it every time
Not even
you
close.
do.
And it's sad too because
You won't
all
have
of
to
the other
worry about
characters
that for much
have
longer.
good establishments. They have good
You think
base
so?
points for growth,
I do.
but all
because
of their
I-
base points just got kind of like
Shion, I,
cast aside very, very quickly, very early on.
No. You can tell me once my thorns are gone. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Also, I'm gonna throw this out there, and this is gonna sound probably weird and nitpicky, and I don't know if I'm just noticing it more now or if this is actually a thing, but it feels like the dub has
Everybody get enough
gotten
rest? You ready
way
for this?
worse at the
Yeah,
end of
we
the
should probably
game
get moving.
compared to what it
Agreed.
was
Can't
at the
stand around
beginning of the
waiting
game.
all day.
Because the beginning of the
Our
game,
task
the
is
dub seemed
relatively
pretty
straightforward.
good, but
We
here
don't need
lately
to send
there
down to
are
Rena, defeat the Great
multiple
Spirit,
spots where
and
people are
restore
just talking
stability
and
to
there's
both
no
worlds.
words,
We're fighting for
or
a new
there are
future for
words and their
both
mouths
Dana
aren't
and
moving.
Rena.
Like, it's gotten pretty bad at
We've
the
come
end
this far.
here.
We will save our worlds. That's a promise.
Then let's go, everybody. We've got one last wall to tear down.
Repairs on your starship are complete. Everything is in working order.
Is that you, Hevrek 35?
Who the
You
fuck
can
else
see
is
us
it?
from where you are?
I can. I can see anywhere within the bounds of Dake Faisal.
Yeah,
Sounds like someone's
it
keeping
does
Tom.
feel like it kind of
Maybe
hit
we
that.
should give Hevrect 35 a break. It has been stuck in this tiny
I
facility
mean,
for
I
a
say that from
very,
a standpoint
very
of
long
like,
time.
I have
I
unlocked all
I
functions
I
on your
assume it's
starship.
probably less of a
You
trying
can
to.
now make use of its warp drive.
I fucking god.
Warp drive?
Less
Wait,
of a
you mean
stopped
like what the Red
caring,
Women used on us?
right?
What brought
And
us
more
here?
of a had
It's possible that the Red
deadlines
Women may have found a
approaching
way to
and just
activate it on the
got as
starship.
good as they
are held
needed it
Ganquil,
to.
after all.
You know?
Using the warp drive, you should be able to breach Rena's atmosphere without being detected.
Wait, should?
You'll need to be careful. Due to the force field surrounding Rena, the ship will be unable to go any further than the surface of the planet.
So, once we reach the shell, it appears we'll have to infiltrate the core by foot. Understood.
We gotta go all the way down just walking?
Will all
Yeah,
the
that's fair.
Helganquil go back to normal once we
Very
defeat
fair.
the Great Spirit? I
Although
have a strange feeling we're going to have to fight
he
them
had
before
like
this is
this
all
much pretty early on.
The extinction of
Like
many people
Balsef was where it
is
split the
inevitable
first
at this
time, right?
stage. As
So-
such, it would be illogical to risk the success of the mission in a vain attempt to save my kind.
We understand.
Can't that thing lighten up a bit? Everything it says seems to be about what's illogical.
Well, come on, Doe.
Hold up, did you just...
You heard the lady. Get going.
I have one last question.
What?
As Sovereign, your identification number indicates that you are well past your predicted life expectancy. Similarly, the Maiden lacks any identification number, as her function should have been rendered unnecessary. Despite this, the two of you continue to exist. Why?
Well, she's immortal, that's why. That's a dumbass question.
We exist because others have entrusted this to us.
Like,
Over the years, many people have come together and sworn to see this through to the end.
You mean it is because of multiple chance interactions? The likelihood of such events is statistically improbable. Why have you two continued to persist under these conditions?
she's immortal. She doesn't have a
It's
choice.
hard to explain. To be honest, I don't think it's something an observer could understand.
See, like,
All right, time to get back on the Fall Knights.
all right, time to, oof. Time to duel. Oh fuck.
It would appear that our Helganquil host really has fulfilled its end of the bargain.
You know what that means. Time to go to Rena.
I guess this means we should give that warp drive a spin.
Whoop drive. Didn't really seem very warpy. Like a cloak drive, maybe? A please don't detect me drive? It's just a big ass hole that it's going in. That was after the warp. I mean, fair enough. Don't be all like, let's use the warp drive and then not show me the warp drive. Where's the fun in that?
There's nothing here. This weird ocean we're surrounded by just stretches out everywhere. Is this really where the Helganquil come from?
I don't sense even a trace of astral energy. This world is dead.
Then this must be the hollowing.
You mean to tell me this whole world, the entire ocean is that stuff?
And it's covering everything. The entire planet.
This is what the Great Spirit does. After it depleted this planet of every last speck of astral energy, it went after Dana.
So arresting. This world of doom.
Back in its day, Rena was probably just as vibrant as Dana is. But after being robbed of its astral energy for so long, those days are gone and past. This is all that will remain.
So the Great Spirit took everything. It stole energy not just from living beings, but the land, the sea, everything.
And it bound the Helganquil in servitude, until their whole world was nothing but this. And by the looks of it, that's how it remains to this day. A world of death and emptiness.
With nothing left here to consume, the Great Spirit turned its sights on Dana, looking for another host.
You're saying if we don't stop it, this is what Dana's going to look like?
Yeah.
We can be sure that even these few remaining remnants of Renan life will not be spared in the end.
If the oblivion and darkness both Shion and Naori saw comes to pass, nothing will survive.
His mouth wasn't even moving at that point.
It looks like we can climb down from there.
Fuck me.
Let's take a look.
Let's do it. Destroyed remnants. Rena. This does look cool, though. I will say that.
So this is Rena.
Hey!
This is where everything began. Yet it's a dead world?
I won't let Dana suffer the same fate. Ever.
Special owls seem to have appeared throughout Dana. Nice.
A hollowed ocean as far as the eye can see. What do you think would happen if we fell in?
What do you mean, what would happen? You'd drown, wouldn't you?
Come to think of it, I don't believe I've heard of someone ever trying. Perhaps you'd like the glory of being the first?
Nah, I'll pass.
This is essentially a world-sized Renan graveyard. Are you proposing to disturb the dead slumbers?
He
just to
legitimately said
satisfy
he
your curiosity
passed!
law?
No, because I said I passed.
Right,
Human
see?
interest is understandable, but
I
let's
said
not
a
forget where we
pass!
are. This place deserves our respect.
I said
Looks like we're not going to be
I
hearing the
passed.
end of this one for a while.
You'd think I was already snorkeling in it or something.
Like, I just My god. Oh, the dungeon's a
the
long
idea
one?
is to
I
seal
assume
the
it would
Great
be, yeah.
Spirit inside the Renaissance using the Sovereign and Maiden's power. But just how do we do that exactly?
I'm guessing it won't be as easy as holding a spirit channeling ceremony at our leisure.
I already had wielded astral energy once 3 centuries ago. As for suppressing her thorns, Shion's had a lifetime's experience. The problem isn't just our enemy's strength. It's that it's sentient, too. And you can bet anything you like it's not going to just sit back and let us destroy it.
In other words, we need to find some way to weaken it in advance. The Great Spirit, that is.
Back when Shion's thorns flew out of control, we were able to deal with them directly. If this is their host, they should be even more corporeal here.
If that's the case, it should make them easier to attack at least. And if we can manage to divert enough energy away from the spirit's core, even temporarily,
We might just be able to weaken it enough to steal the Renaissance, which we can then use to seal it away forever. It won't be easy, but it's our only shot. Time to buckle up. Question for you. Let's say, knock on wood, everything turns out for the best.
What'll the world be like? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of this, do you really think everything will be that different?
A lot
No.
will have to change, that's for sure. The world will have to adjust to so much. My only worry is if those changes turn out to be merely skin deep.
Yeah,
What do you
they will
mean?
be. People are shit.
It's well and good putting an end to Renan rule. But if it just turns the tables, it's all for naught.
that's
Also,
true. Just as bad if the Danans started
Don't
pressing their own.
do subtitles
Danans,
where the
astral art
subtitles
users,
do
mages.
not match the
world
audio.
is full of labels used to divide
They've been
and
doing this
separate
more
people.
too as we get towards the end of the game,
only we could see
leaving
differences
words
like
out
that for what
of
they
the
are.
audio.
No different to someone having a musical talent or being good with their hands. Not differences so much as characteristics.
It will take someone in power to set an example.
Yeah, it's
With time,
jarring because if
people
you're
will
reading
follow.
along, it's
then, perhaps one
you're
day,
suddenly out of
There will
sync.
no longer be any need for the example. It will have become second nature.
That's where we come in. We can set the example. Imagine it. A world where magic and astral arts are used to help people. Where that's the norm rather than the exception.
Yeah, you're right, Rinwell. Why wait for somebody else? We can show them ourselves.
I'll say this, the skits tend to have better dubbing here at the end, it feels like, than the scenes do. Anyways, okay, we have fast travel. And we... We are not bound to the surface of Rena.
I think Hoodle senses something. Hey! Hey, I just realized something!
Is this about dinner last night? I didn't realize those ingredients were off.
What? No! I mean,
Okay, so Jay,
wait,
hit me
you
with
fed us
the
rotten food?
information. Do I
Rinwell,
have to do
the point.
all of the rest of the game before the final
Oh, yeah,
dungeon?
right.
Or
So I was
after
thinking
I
about those
beat the
armored
final
soldiers
dungeon,
we've
do
seen.
I get
There are
access to
regular Renans
post
inside
game?
them, right?
Yeah, they're designed to make whoever's wearing them stronger. At least, I think that's the idea.
Right. So it kind of begs the question then, why are they made so huge?
I don't know, makes them more intimidating, I guess? Or maybe all that tech wizardry inside takes up a lot of space.
You don't think it's weird how the armored soldiers are the exact same height as the Helganquil?
Can't say I'd ever noticed it till now. And?
Connect the dots, Law!
Okay, let me get this straight. You think the armored suits might have originally been designed to allow Renans to work alongside the Helganquil?
Huh. But if that's true, what would that mean?
Interesting.
It would mean... just that, I guess. But still, don't you think it's kind of interesting?
So clarity, I can go
Hey,
beat
sorry,
the
well, I've
game,
got you.
and then
What's on
after
tonight's
beating the
menu?
game,
Because
I
I
can
was
do
thinking
all of
maybe
the side
meat.
quests.
Get him, Hoodle.
Fucking get him, Hoodle.
What did I do?
Oh, now you want to listen.
Gotcha,
Keep
okay.
pecking, Hoodle.
Ow, ow, ow! Seriously, what the hell?
All right, so give me a
You
little
know,
bit of a
guys, when you
concept
think
here.
about
Are
it,
the
we've taken out
optional
a lot
bosses
of
more
Zoogles,
difficult
like
than
a
the
whole
final
lot.
dungeon? Or should
You can say
I
that again.
use the
One
optional
thing's for certain in
bosses
this world is that wherever
to
we
as
go,
like
we'll always
preparation
end up
for the
bumping
final
into
dungeon?
them.
Isn't it weird that they're still so plentiful? You don't think the Renans have, like, a ranch where they breed them, do you?
Certainly in all of my years, I've never heard of them constructing such a massive facility on Dana, let alone up in Lenegis.
The only thing I can think of, then, is that the feral ones must be reproducing on their own.
Yeah, of course.
There's also no organized effort on our part to hunt them down, so it's difficult to fully exterminate them.
I
Exterminate
think
them?
the dungeon is easier
Whoa,
than the
don't
optional
you think
bosses.
That's maybe a
Fair
little
enough.
harsh?
What do you mean?
Zoogles originally used to be living creatures native to Dana and Rena, right? Being genetically modified isn't their fault.
You're right. Zoogles were only
Being
created
genetically
because of us
modified isn't
Renans.
their fault. Being
We altered the
highly
original
dangerous
to
creatures
suit
that
our own ends.
destroy
First,
everything
people
around
made
them
Zoogles.
is a problem.
And then we let them go. And now we're trying to kill them because they're a threat. They really have only seen the very worst, huh?
I hope we find a way to be able to live side by side with them one day.
It's a
Yeah,
nice
okay.
thought, but they attack towns and cities. What else are we supposed to do?
Aside from the strays that have gone wild, it's worth remembering that Renans are able to keep them somewhat under control.
If we had distinct territories that didn't overlap, that might reduce the danger they pose.
Well, I guess when you look at it that way, maybe people and Zoogles aren't so different after all.
Some of the really good artifacts are still out there and would be real nice to have for this dungeon. Yeah, I think I'm going to do like a bit of side questing prior to doing the final dungeon. So we'll see how it goes. Speaking of which, I was going to... What was I going to do? Right, we have quests. So, go pick up some side quests. Yeah, more time for
Always good to be back and
anything and everything.
familiar territory.
I sense a poor soul who is in dire need.
Dire need.
Yes.
Excuse me!
What is happening here? I thought you understood that some of the knowledge, but I can't simply stand here and let you do. I could be losing out on a valuable opportunity. Let's make it fair, shall we? Both give them our requests.
Hey!
Really now?
Okay, what do you need? Go down to the surface of Rena and track down a certain experimental Zoogle subject of yours. It's a failed specimen. I ejected it from the dive. Okay. But it seems to have survived the trip in space all the way back to Rena. Are you...
What?
Wow. Partially what I need to do. More importantly, I need you to collect tissue from said Zoogle. Whoever would have predicted that it would arrive on Rena alive and well. It merits further scientific investigation. Ugh.
I see.
Yeah, we'll handle
Agreed.
it.
Very nice.
Is a 6-armed giant. Extremely violent. Okay. Interesting.
Dohalim? The line of researchers is getting longer.
Perhaps I should have put more thought into this before accepting.
Oh, they want... Oh, that's funny. Okay. What else do we got? Legion, level 3. Here. More quests.
That was quite the little adventure we went.
Notice from Notio, it says that the wedding is to be held at Saxleo Temple.
Right.
Air Future.
Saxleo Temple. Isn't that where Shion was being held?
Wasn't it beautiful? I can't wait for this.
Hey, Law. Been training?
Yeah, I guess I got a little carried away. You think this is bad, you should see the state of my underwear.
Yeah. A word of advice. You might want to refrain from mentioning that stuff around girls. Ones without a military history especially.
Man, can you imagine Rinwell's face? She'd have a nervous breakdown.
I meant in general, but you sure mention her a lot, you know.
Huh? Oh, you know, she's always there, even when you least expect it. Springs to mind easily.
Either that, or maybe some part of you is subconsciously always wishing she was there.
May the trials and tribulations of young romance never change.
Romance? Like I'd be interested in that know-it-all tomboy. I'm more about mature women. Someone more like Kisara.
You know, I used to be a tomboy too when I was Rinwell's age.
Careful,
Look,
Law.
it's not tomboys
Careful,
I
Law.
have anything against. But come on, you've got to admit she can be a lot to handle.
Absolutely, she
Hey,
can.
I miss anything? What's all the fuss about?
Rinwell.
Thunderblade!
Ah! What the hell was that for?
A little birdie told me you were speaking about me behind my back.
My God, you can't. You can't just Thunderblade your own allies, Rinwell. This is why we talk about you behind your back.
It wouldn't be called the Spring of Youth without a little storm every now and then.
Abuse is abuse, y'all.
Hey, Shion. How are you and Alphen getting on these days?
That's a little out of the blue. Why do you ask?
Sorry, it's just... I don't know, I'm just curious, I guess. I mean, a lot's changed now he's got his senses back and all.
I suppose you're right. Well, to tell you the truth, if he'd been the way he is now back when I'd first met him, I probably wouldn't have gotten this involved. But then, if we hadn't met like we did, then I never would have experienced these feelings, so... I guess it's complicated.
I can imagine. I know it's not the same thing, but I know what it feels like to have someone you love who's out of reach.
Because of Miguel.
Alphen's still alive. It's not too late, you know.
What do you
And
believe?
after all,
I
who can
bothered
say
him
what
into
the
getting
future
up.
holds? I think if I were you, I'd take things as they come for now.
Besides, touch isn't everything. I've never touched you, Shion, but that doesn't stop you from knowing that I care about you, right?
That's true. But I do remember back when we first met, you made it plenty clear you weren't my biggest fan.
But that was a long time ago. There were lots of things I didn't understand back then. Not that that's the point.
Don't worry, I'm only teasing. I know what you mean. Thank you. And
Beat
you're
it, Paul.
right. There are ways to convey your feelings besides just touching.
I'll say, cooking immediately springs to mind. And if it's someone's favorite dish, all the better. If there's something on your mind that you want to tell him,
This
why not try
poor
appealing
boy.
directly to his stomach?
You might just have a point. I'll give it a shot.
Uh-oh. If it's Alphen's palate you're appealing to, that doesn't bode well for the rest of us.
That's true.
Well, friendship is about being supportive. Sometimes we just have to do our best and take one for the team, right?
Although, again, it doesn't make sense that his palate hasn't
Even after
changed
staying
relatively
here,
drastically
we never
if his
truly
palate
got to the bottom
only
of what
existed in
makes
the
this
way that it
realm's
did because he
citizens
couldn't
tick.
feel pain.
Renin and Dan
Right?
are meaningless distinctions
Then his
here.
palate should
To
have
have one's own
changed by
mind
now.
is
He should
strictly
probably still
forbidden.
favor
All
spicy
that matters is
things,
blind obedience.
right?
That might be the case now,
But
but it can't always have been like that. There must have been something more.
Once, maybe. Question is that something still salvageable?
If it's not, we'll just have to make something new. No, not we. They've had enough foisted on them as it is.
You're right. It's time
We
the
did.
people here had the chance to forge their own path.
we did.
That's not to say it'll
We
be
did.
easy, but it will be worthwhile.
These things take time to... What the? An ambush?
Sorry. Sorry. There was a huge flying bug and I sort of shot without thinking.
What the
A
fuck?
bug? You mean like a Zoogle?
No, like a
Something
bug.
tells me she would have shot it, whether it was a Zoogle or not.
This realm is teeming with humid forests. It's only natural insects would feel more at home here than Menancia. In fact, I seem to recall reading somewhere that bugs around these parts lay their eggs in human food to ensure healthy incubation.
Not
Sounds
helping,
like they're tougher
Dohalim.
than they look.
What about you, Alphen?
Hey,
Bugs don't
hey!
creep you out?
Don't you touch!
I wouldn't say
Don't
I
you
was
touch.
their #1 fan. Mind you, if times get desperate enough, I've been known to
Don't you
eat them.
touch!
Insects as a culinary option, you say? What kind of seasoning are we talking?
Dohalim, I don't think he was talking about cooking them.
Hey, a lizard!
What is happening? Why is Shion suddenly afraid of every little thing? Alright. Oh, it feels good. I'm gonna make this statement. It feels good to have answers. I'm not super happy with all of the answers that we have, but it feels good to finally have answers. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.